Alrighty, welcome back to another video. I'm going to try to get this one done and over with. It is week 17 on the year. Only 2 more weeks of this thing, and we are done. But I will do the playoffs because, of course, not going to be 30 minutes long every time, but, hope that you all watch them and, enjoy the videos. And we're going to go ahead and get right into it. And let's go. And as always, not going in any particular order, we're going to start on Sunday with the Steelers and the Ravens. Now, the Steelers did win. They're still in the hunt because of the Dolphins losing and pretty much say they've lost 4 straight. They're still in it, and if they win out in a year, they get into the playoffs, I'm pretty sure. But it just matters that if the Dolphins lose. So the Steelers could still make a run. And they're trying to prevent themselves from going, having a losing season. I think the buck stops here this time. I think the buck stops here against the Ravens because, look, their defense is playing out of their mind. And when Lamar Jackson comes back, I believe they're going to be an even better team than what they are now. So they get the win. And Mike Tomlin have his first losing season. If he don't, there's something going on for Mike Tomlin to have a Hall of Fame career. And as I said, not going in any particular order, it is the Bills at the Bengals on Monday night. This is the last Monday night game of the year. It's giving us something for the best. Both teams playing pretty great. Now, the Bengals, they did not play as great. Same for the Bills. But they blew them out 35-15 to 13. The Bengals, they had a 22-point lead going into halftime. Of course, they almost lost it, but I think they were just saying, hey, we got a pretty big lead. I don't think they can come back. Obviously, they kind of did, but in reality, it worked out to their perfection. Now, as much as I do want to pick the Bengals, I do want to pick the Bills. But as much as I want to pick the Bills, I do want to pick the Bengals. This could be a game of the year candidate. Again, the Bengals are underdogs. They're underdogs in the Chiefs game. I think they're even a little bit of underdogs in the Bucs game. Of course, not as much as we think. But what other games were they underdogs in? I'm trying to think. Well, anyway, they were underdogs in a bunch of games this year. I am going to pick the Bengals, not because I like them, because the way that they're playing and their defense is playing, the way that their offense played in the first half, somewhat in the second half too, they showed out and they went with ease against a good Patriots defense. And if they can play that way against a little bit of a beat-up Bills defense, it's been that way all year, I believe they will win the game. Now, as we'll go back and forth for a couple times, I am sure, maybe even a high-scoring game, but the Bengals are going to win. Possibility of getting the 1 seed if, of course, the Bengals do lose or win. Either way. And next up is another game of the year. I'm just kidding. The Jaguars go down to Houston and play the Texans. Now, the Texans, they won. And you're saying, you're crazy. Why would you pick them to win? Well, because the last time the Texans went was last year. They won. And so, they had Malik Willis. So, what really matters, right? But the Jags getting the win against a good Jets defense. And the Jets, we're going to get to them in a minute. Now, I would pick the Texans because the Texans, they're 3-0 against Trevor Lawrence in his career. But I am going to pick the Jags because they're playing good football. I don't think they're going to lose to the worst team in all of football. So I will pick them to go 8-8 and possibility of taking the division the next week to win that game. Speaking of the Tennessee Titans, it's a Thursday night football game where they're going to be hosting the team that just beat the best team in America in the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys, as I just said, beat the best team in football. Well, I mean, they could be, but Dallas is for real. They got a chance to win this one as well. The Titans, without Ryan Tannehill, have, they lost him. They've lost 5 in a row, just about as many as the Dolphins have, -1. +1 rather. And they just haven't played great football since before Thanksgiving break, which is a long time. That's almost in a month. So, I will pick the Dallas Cowboys because of that reason. Now, however, the Titans defense is pretty good, so I think they will get some pressure. But the Cowboys defense is a lot better going into Tennessee on Thursday night. And, this could have been a good football game, but they just decided to choke away their chances. And next up, we've got the Dolphins at the Patriots. The Dolphins on a 4-game losing streak. The Patriots, a little bit of a losing streak of their own. Not as big, though. Now, the Dolphins, they played the Packers. Packers, I think, are resurging just a bit. They're trying to get into the playoffs. And to be honest, they might. But the Patriots almost came back and just got destroyed. If they hadn't scored one more touchdown, talk about the Bengals, they probably would have won by 3. So they lost by 4. But that's the thing about it. Now, if the Patriots the Patriots win, and of course with the Dolphins losing, and then the Jets lose, and then the Steelers lose, they get into the playoffs at 8-8, and the 7th seed might be theirs if they win next week to host Buffalo. Wait, they got to go on the road in Buffalo. That's right. It's going to be a lot of stuff. That's going to be the story of the day. Can the Patriots win out on the season? Now, however, I don't really see them doing that because obviously they can't take the division. They can't take over the division. No one can because that's just voice crack. That's just how it is. Now, I will pick the Dolphins because I believe they will bounce back in a big way. I think if they win this game and the Seahawks win and the Steelers lose, then they get into playoffs and no one else this next week don't even matter for the playoffs. So, because the Chargers already clinched one. The Ravens already clinched a spot. So, honestly, it could be that way for a long time. So, I'm picking the Dolphins to win. Not a close one, though. Probably by 3 points. And next up, this is going to be kind of funny. Because I cannot put respect on the Broncos anymore, they deserve no respect. They don't even deserve their logo on there. Against the Chiefs. Now, the Broncos lost by a bunch. They got blown out by 51 points, basically. So many points they got scored on. And the Chiefs, they just keep winning. Their defense played great. And if they play this way against a bad offense, they're obviously going to get the win. I mean, why even spend time on this, right? Chiefs win. But they did fire the head coach. So every time a team fires their head coach, they win the next week. That's a lot to ask. Goodbye. And next up, another coulda, shoulda, woulda matchup between the Niners and the Raiders. The Niners, they just keep winning. And if they win out, they'll be the only team that's going to have a 10-game winning streak, I believe, in this whole entire thing. And the Raiders, well, you decided that you're going to bench Derek Carr. Jarrett Stidham's going to play the rest of the year. And that's just how it's going to go. But yeah, guess what? We see things that we think are going to be, this is going to be one of the best games of the year, and then it just all falls apart. Now, I do think this is going to be a little bit of a closer game because, obviously, when it's every single time that one team decides to start their backups, the backup always plays good. Just like Brock Purdy, right? We've seen it before. So it's going to be close, but I think the 49ers are going to pull it off. It is going to be close because the Raiders are going to play miraculously in this one. For some odd reason, I just feel like that's going to happen. There's a bunch of wind outside. So, Niners win. Raiders out of the playoffs officially. And next up, we've got what is another coulda, shoulda, woulda matchup. It's one of the biggest ones of the year. It is the Battle of LA, however, so, I mean, it's still pretty hyped. Not as much, though. The Rams at the Chargers. The Rams, they blew out the Broncos 51-14, and they won 20-3. Both defenses played pretty good. Both offenses played, I guess pretty good. I do think the Chargers are going to win. They're trying to get back to the playoffs. They already clinched the playoff spot, so obviously they will. And they just want to get there as fast as they can. Now, if they play like they've been playing, they're a threat in the playoffs. So, it's a big deal coming into the postseason for them. And next up, we've got the Bears at the Lions. The last time these two played, well, it was a pretty good one. The Lions came back and won. They've won the first road game of the year. And the Bears, they're just trying to look for some kind of remorse of the season. They're just trying to become a better version of themselves next year. They don't have any star power on that defense. And, Justin Fields is basically a highlight reel every week. If he keeps playing like that every week. So, obviously, Justin Fields is their guy. They just need to put some star potential around them. Their defense needs to get better. But I'm going to pick the Lions because they're trying to get back to the playoffs. And obviously, if the Packers win and they win, then guess what? They're in for a showdown. Possibility on Sunday night. It's going to be cold. Well, it's going to be in Detroit. No, it's going to be in Lambeau. It's going to be cold. It's going to be windy. And obviously, they're trying to get back to that and try to get back to the playoffs for the first time in a while. I forgot when because they're so bad. Anyway, Lions win. And speaking of what I think should have been flexed to a Sunday night game, and by the way, I'm rolling through these, by the way. Just really fast. The Vikings at the Packers. Now, the Vikings, they won, but it could have been a better win than normal because, being honest with ourselves, I would think that, with all regards necessary, that they could have won that game better than anything else. But, it was the Giants. I said that it was going to be close. It was close, down to the very last field goal, and a 60-plus yard field goal. And the Packers, they won't go away. They're on a 4-game winning streak, and they just won't go away. So, we just got to live with it. Now, if they do lose, then, playoffs are not in their hand. And I did not choose this game. Oh, boy. I'm not going to get any points out of this one. Yep, I'm not going to get points out of that one. But I was kind of deciding on this one because I just really couldn't. I will pick the Packers. I'm going to pick the Packers for a big upset. Because, look, they're trying to see if they can, because, look, the Vikings are in the playoffs, and they're trying to get to a historic 14-game win record. Obviously, they can do it with a win here, because I believe next week they play the Bears, which would probably not be a good one. Anyway, but I didn't see the Packers winning. I think they can run the table because a lot of people said, "Oh, There's no way you can run the table. You got to win against the Rams. You got to win against the Dolphins, and they've already done that. They got to win against the Vikings and the Lions. They got to get past this big thing here. So, obviously, I'm going to pick the Packers to win. And I got to get this thing updated where I can have that pick. So, this game doesn't matter in any proportion necessary, but I did pick the Falcons because, look, Desmond Ridder needs a win. It don't matter, but he needs a win. He can't start his career 0-2. He needs to get a win out of this season. Because, obviously, I mean, they're still in contention for the playoffs. They just need every single team to just lose out, but they really can't do that. So, I'm going to pick the Falcons to win because, look, I mean, they're not very good. They weren't expected to be good. So, yeah. Falcons win. Cardinals lose. They have no quarterback. And now what is the battle for the division, pretty much? I wish this was a Week 18 matchup between the Panthers and the Bucks. Guess what, guys? The Panthers are still in contention for the division because they're second in their division. They're not expected to make it. But if they win, then guess what, guys? They make the playoffs pretty much. Because, look, even though the Bucks probably play the Falcons the next week, then it's not going to matter because, I mean, the Panthers, they play the Saints. So they need the Saints to win in order to get, I mean, that's crazy to even say. I mean, it's out of proportion, as I keep saying. And this is actually what I'm going to take. I'm going to take the Panthers to get the win. Now, I know betting against Tom Brady is not anything to say, but obviously, I mean, he's 7-8. He's first in the division because the division is trash. I mean, if the division played better, they probably would have, they probably would have lost the division by now. But I am going to pick the Panthers to win in a close one in the battle for the division. Because, look, the last time they played, the Panthers won. So, yeah, they might win. And next up, this thing says it all pretty much. The Colts at the Giants. The Colts, they started Nick Foles. They got blown out by 17 points. The Giants, they played close with the Vikings. And they almost would have won. I am going to pick the Giants because their defense is better. And honestly, I mean, Daniel Jones will suck. He will suck in this game. But he will be able to throw to his receivers because their defense is elite. Nick Foles is not elite. Their offensive line is not elite. Nothing is elite about this team. We thought they would have been the opposite of their record by now. We thought everything would have been better, but obviously it's not. So, Giants win, and the Colts lose. They're not even in the playoffs anymore. Doesn't matter. And they got to get ready for the big battle against Philly again. Good luck, but Giants win. And next up, we've got the Browns at the Commanders. The Browns. Now, I believe they did play the Saints. And they could have won that game. With all regards, they could have won that game, but they just gave it away. So, that's why I'm picking the Commanders, because they played good against a very great, a very good, I can't think of the name, Niners defense. So, yeah, that's why I'm picking them, because they're trying to get back to the postseason. Can we get all four teams to make it to the postseason this year? Well, I think not, but there's always a chance when you're around in this world. So, they win. And next up is the battle to see who has the last chance at the postseason. Is the Jets and the Seahawks. The Jets, they played good defense. They lost. No Zach Wilson. Mike White back in. He's cleared. They didn't play good offense against a very good Chiefs defense that played out of their minds. And the win is back again. Their offense, I mean, they played decent, but, still. I'm going to pick the Seahawks there because, look, even though most people can probably pick the Jets, they're gonna jet. They're gonna jet. I mean, they were 7-4 and they haven't won since the Bears. The Bears. So I'm gonna pick the Seahawks to get this win. And that is it for the Week 17 predictions. Next week will be the last week. I hope I do good this week. Last week I went 12-4. Big step up. So I'll see you guys next week in Week 18.